And I realized that I could not live like this because I had two small children and I was consumed with anger and bitterness. I realized that I could not live like that
Yeah.
I needed to forgive. All he wants is our heart. He wants our heart. We are broken, imperfect people, but he sees beyond that. If we have a heart for him, he'll meet us where we are.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Hello podcast. You are going to absolutely love. We're going to try to at least get 2 segments today on a big topic, forgiveness. We'll talk about a lot of other things, but Elizabeth Hurley is here and Malena Varel, and we are good friends. We also go to Trinity Church in Dallas. Pastor Joe and I are the senior leaders, but we have started this podcast, and our heart is that it is helpful, and everything that we talk about is Word of God based, but we like to bring in our real lives and how we've seen things that we're going to talk about work in our lives and others' lives around us. And again, we just pray you stay with us because we know it's really good news. But anyway, it's so good to have you here with us, Elizabeth. You want to tell us a little bit about where you're from, a little bit about who you are?
Yes. Well, thank you. I love being here and I feel so at home in this church. I grew up in this neighborhood. Just my mom still lives in the house that we grew up in, just, maybe a mile from here. And I came to know the Lord at a very young age. I don't remember not believing, but I certainly remember not following or not allowing him to be Lord over my life. But
a good
from
way
a
to put it.
very young age, I loved the Lord. And from a very young age, I prayed. I loved going to church my whole life. It was just a big deal to me. But it wasn't until I was maybe in my late 30s that I really came to understood that Jesus didn't want to just be my savior. He wanted to be Lord over my life. And that's what really changed, I think, my heart and how I saw life.
Everything.
And viewed life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you at that time start to share with people around you? And if so, how did they take that news? Like what was changing in your heart and how you wanted to walk with God differently? Did some people respond, or did they see a change, and respond?
I don't remember people saying they saw a change. I did share with some, and by either giving them a book that I'd read that I said made a difference in my life. And one person in particular, I think, threw it in the back seat of her car, and I don't know if she ever picked it up, but it really made a difference in my children's lives because they could see a change, a discipline there daily, and they can go back now and say that made a difference. Seeing you, walking down in the morning, seeing Mom in her chair, or having my quiet time. It just I started really making a lot of time for the Lord in my life on a daily basis, starting my day that way. And it helped me through a lot of, rough times raising children and being married and, and just all the things that life throws at you. It just made a difference to have
it
that
does
discipline.
make it. I share with people when Pastor Joe and I got started in the ministry, and I grew up Catholic, and there's just so many good things about the Catholic Church, but we would go visit people and the women would have sticky notes with scriptures all over. And I would just feel so bad for them. I was like, oh, they're those people, and now, but I think that is that remembrance for your children, that Word of God, and that is her guide, and that I think it makes a difference. Even with Naomi, don't you think when your life started to change, it makes a difference that they see that value?
I think that's just a reminder what you just said, back to the book, to someone throwing it in the back seat. You just don't know. I mean, that might have been the last thing you heard or she shared with you or you saw, witnessed, but you don't know that she picked it up later on.
I know.
So it was still a seed that you planted. And with Naomi, it's made a huge difference. Her watching. One of the things I remember when I first became a Christian too, and you've probably had this because I see it in you also, is people saw this light.
Yeah.
And strangers would stop me, whether, I was at the grocery store, and it was usually somebody older
Mm.
and would mention that. It's like, you just have this light about you. I just wanted to tell you that. And it was so nice because you're so much on fire for the
Yeah.
Lord early on, and it shows.
Yeah.
It does
And we
show.
don't want to lose it, but I do. I think it's if it's who you are, I bet it's so sweet to think of that. Boy, somebody did comment to me at the kids' school or friends or family, just our reaction and our response. And I know that for a season being a single mom,
Mm.
you set those values up that today, Naomi has. And so in your 30s, this happened, Elizabeth. And so, did you then get more active as well? Like, let me be more intentional with Bible studies or friendships, and just that helped you go deeper?
I think, well, in my late 20s is when I went through a really difficult time in my life, kind of all through my 20s, actually. I was praying constantly, to get
Yeah.
through this
Yeah.
time. And I saw the benefit of that and the peace that it brought me and the joy that it brought me. So I started, and I think I was in church one day, and they quoted the pastor who was speaking, talked about, I forget which pastor it was, but wherever this pastor was that he was talking about, an older man that has since passed away, he said wherever he was traveling, he got up at 6 o'clock in the morning and gave the Lord an hour, 2 hours of his time. So if he, was
Yeah.
on the East Coast, it doesn't matter. He kept that same
Yeah.
time because no matter what, he knew
Beautiful.
that was just the first fruits of his
A
day.
good routine.
Yes.
A good discipline.
Good discipline. And it really sat with me. And I said, well, I can do that. I can do that. I want to do that.
I can do that, and I will
And
do
I
that.
want to do that.
Yeah.
And so, which then, like, I remember a time when I was having a difficult time with a child, and I was already in that discipline of waking up early. And I felt like the Lord said, you got to wake up even earlier because I need your time
Yeah.
spent for this
It
child.
mattered.
So I devoted
Wow.
extra time just for this child. And then I would do my other devotion.
Right.
And it was amazing, that discipline, how that really, just spending time with the Lord and reading his scripture, and a lot of times reading the same scripture every single day to get me through one trial, gave me truly the peace that transcends all understanding, because I could not manufacture it on my own at all. And I was worried, like sick worried about a child, but I knew that God loved him more than I did. And so I needed his help, and he gave it to me through his word and just spending time with him.
And the people that will watch this and that are watching it, I love that testimony because it is real.
Yeah.
God can meet you, and he can give you that faith, and so that you're not overcome by fear.
Yes.
And it also helps our minds, because our minds start to go there and worry and fear, and then it'll come out.
Yes.
But I think it gave you a foundation and a peace that really, it says, passes all understanding.
Mhm.
So you really saw that. And what you said was so beautiful. I know you had to think this so often with Naomi too, that Naomi belonged to God even more than you. It's a concept,
Absolutely.
I think, in the world is strange, but what did that feel like for you being a single mom raising her?
Well, I wish I would have known what Elizabeth just described, because growing up like I did with Catholicism and going to church there, we didn't learn a lot of this. As great as it was, it did lay a foundation, but we didn't know all that. And I wanted to ask you, Elizabeth, how was that transition getting into a pattern like that? Because sometimes it's not easy for people to stay in a pattern. Did you have any trouble staying in that routine that you had? And if so, what did that look like?
Well, I didn't work. I was not a working mom, so I was a stay-at-home mom, I think, which helped. So I didn't have to, I could get up early. I could be in my bathrobe with my coffee before my kids got up. And I probably started this when, I don't remember, my oldest was maybe in middle school, maybe a little bit younger. And I did have a baby in there, because I had 4 kids, and my youngest I had when he was in 8th grade. But I didn't have to go get dressed to be somewhere either. I could throw on some clothes and drive everybody to school. But I'm also a morning person, which helped. I'm not a late night person, so waking up early is easy for me. And it's one of those things. It's like any kind of habit. Once you start doing it,
Yeah.
your body gets accustomed
Yes.
to
Yeah.
it. And the biggest thing was I felt the Lord's presence.
Yeah.
And I would literally jump out of the bed.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, and like I said, it's
Yes.
easy for me to wake up in the mornings.
Yes.
I would
You
jump out
knew
of
he
the
was
bed.
there.
I knew he was there. And one of my
That's so
favorite little booklets
beautiful.
is called My Heart, Christ's Home. It's a tiny little booklet. I love to give it to people. But he talks about spending time with him in the rooms of our house. And
I'll put it on a sticky note now.
It's like your home. Yes, the rooms of our house, and how spending time with him and him clearing out those rooms of your heart. Like the library, for instance. Like what is your library at home? What are the books? What are the things that you're reading, watching, meditating on? Did they give you life? Do they give you
Wow.
his life? And this booklet is about that, and how important it is to Jesus, to God, all he wants is our heart. He wants our heart. We are broken, imperfect people, but he sees beyond that. If we have a heart for him, he'll meet us where we are.
Yeah.
And he will guide us and get us to where he wants us to be. Our obedience and our heart's desire to spend time with him is all he's looking for.
And I think what you just shared, again, I think there's a different world outside of this where it's sort of new news what we're saying. But when you're saying I'm broken and I'm hurting, I do think for some people to come to that realization, it is spiritual, because it doesn't sound good, it doesn't feel good, it doesn't look good, But I think the more we walk with God, we realize we need him. Like, we've been friends for so long, but we have just needed God in
Not that long.
I know I shouldn't
Centuries.
but we have seen each other, with our families and just personally what we've gone through. But really what Elizabeth is sharing, don't you think God has become more and more real in your life in every area?
Absolutely. And this just reminds me of how much we need each other,
Yeah.
because sometimes you don't even know where to start when you're going through some of this stuff.
Completely.
You just don't know where to start. And that's where you reach out to someone and share your story, what you're going through.
Yeah.
And they intervened for you. And
Yeah.
there you are. I mean, you're covered where you can't do it on your own.
No.
And so many people don't see that till they're in a bad place, or a challenging place, and they don't know who to call. And I think it's just so important that we
I
do
think
life together.
that is kind of tricky, because if you do go to the bookstores, the Barnes and Nobles and all that, and they said, that certain sections are just exploding. And, it's like you, me, sell. And for a while, it was the message that was huge out there.
Right.
But we see things a bit different. For sure, we need God and we need one another. And I know you have friends as well, but people that will tell you what you're saying and you're not saying, and they'll be truthful, but in so much love, or they'll cry with you and know, I'm going to walk with you while you walk through this nasty season or this dark season. Did you have people around you that you could share? I mean, I can call you. Then I'll write her back like a little funny. I love emojis, but I'm like, hey, thanks for just letting me get it out. But have you had friends around you, Elizabeth, in your journey that you have been so significant with what you've gone through?
Yeah, I have. And I mean, the most significant kind of dark time for me, I talked to some friends, but it really was just me and God.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And because I didn't want to talk about the nitty gritty of things, because when I talked about it, it made me kind of spiral.
Yeah, it does.
And
spiral down and dwell on it, and almost it becomes larger than it should be sometimes.
Yeah. So that's what I tell, my kids and even friends, who's like, you absolutely have to have, and I have friends. I mean, definitely my best friend was there for me, my family, friends, but a lot of people didn't really know what was going on. And I didn't know exactly what was going on until I found out. But I realized at this time in my life that if I really wanted the truth, I had to go to God first.
Yep.
And I went through periods later on where I think, you go through periods where you feel lonely in life
Yeah.
or left out, and
It's a
that
battle.
could kind of spiral.
Yeah.
And I would think, okay, Lord, I'm in charge of this. If I feel lonely or left out, then I need to do something about it because
Yeah.
I'm not reaching out enough. That's my responsibility, but I've got to go to you, Lord, to show me my confidence, to give me your word, because he's going to speak the truth to me.
Yeah.
A lot of times, good friends will meet you where you are and they'll tell you the truth, but sometimes they don't want to tell you the truth because they're afraid they're going
Right.
to hurt you. So a lot of
Right.
times they'll tell you what they think you want to
And
hear.
hold back, or
And that's
Yeah.
not, we need to
Yeah.
hear the truth always in love and respect and kindness. But, and my best friend has certainly done that in my life.
You sound like
numerous times.
the Bible talks about finding that pearl of great price, though, because
Mhm.
just as you're sharing, I think sometimes when they interview someone, even on the news, that have gone through so much, but you can tell they are so anchored in their faith and their trust in God, and the way they respond to the reporter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my funny example, but it is entirely possible. And again, who is watching this, it is entirely possible to have a relationship with God like this. It is so solid. It's intimate. It is so, and then now you wouldn't trade your quiet time or anything. Is yours we kind of did a rapid fire earlier. Is your quiet time in the mornings or the evenings when you have time similar to Elizabeth with God?
It's changed. I'm an early riser also, and it used to be in the mornings, but now it's in the evenings. And I think I like that better because it kind of calms the
Mhm.
day down, especially when we've had really busy days. It just calms
Yeah.
it down for the night.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my favorite right now, I think.
Mm.
My answer was all day. I said,
Oh.
I'm sorry.
We need it all day.
I know. I'm sure. So I'm 66. I'm sure if I was tested when I was young, they'd be, oh, God, this girl has everything. She's this, and this. But I just sort of take God in with me all day long through everything, because I think I'm not as, I'm better with understanding this is who I am. This is, and I'd love to have the disciplines or whatever. But it's like God is so sweet and meets you like, I get it. I get you. I design you. I want you better. We press in to those things, but it may look different. But then when we get together, we go, there's victory, and we have stories. Because the thing that we want to bring up with you, Elizabeth, is so obvious that God's kind of giving you a pathway to understanding forgiveness. And so I'd love for you to we're going to get started here. And then in our next segment, I just want to dive deeper. But I think both of us are super excited to be here with you because, again, our friendship just sometimes it would feel so funny when we would talk and we'd be, you forgive yourself. That's one thing. Or then you forgive, sounds so funny, God, and then your spouse or your children. It sounds like, but this side of heaven, it's sort of, what would you like to say to Elizabeth about forgiveness so before she really dives into what she's got for us?
Well, I love that you just said you were talking about your friends meeting you where you're at. And it reminded me that God does that too. God meets us where we're at.
Yeah.
And he knows where we need to be. And I love that journey, although it's not always real easy. It just isn't. But anyway, I just really like that you said that.
Have you ever gone through times when you forgive yourself, like you just know, like God's speaking to you about something you are having trouble releasing?
Um,
Maybe mothering, as a mother,
I have very few regrets. I do have a few, but I try not to be there because it doesn't help me out.
Yeah.
So I've been pretty good about putting it somewhere else.
Yeah.
But that's a great question.
But
there's so many mistakes that we make in life, mothering, parenting, all those things.
Yeah.
And I just think, you know what? That's what got me here, and that's what happened, and God uses that too. I don't think God wastes anything.
One time we were
So
talking, it was kind of interesting because Naomi's perspective on something and yours was so different that it was so just, I love God and how we walk through this side of heaven and life, but she was able to bring it up, and you were able to like love her and share with her your
Are you
perspective
talking
of
about
what.
that long text I sent her?
Well,
That-
I
yes.
think she sort of resented some things,
Uh-huh.
right? And exactly, but she kind of got that out. Then you sort of met that with your sort of reality or story, but it brought healing. So I
Mhm.
think sometimes your perspective may stay
Yeah.
different. It doesn't mean, I think sometimes that's, we can watch those little, sometimes that did damage to some people watching the movies where everything has such a happy, beautiful ending.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's
Yeah.
a beautiful ending, but, but why don't you
Life
get
is not
started
that.
and share with us the things that are on your heart for forgiveness and the message?
Oh, I a little background. I was married and right out of college, and that marriage, did not work out, and had a lot of emotional and verbal abuse, and
How long was that marriage?
8 years,
Okay.
and a lot of infidelity, and anyway, and with infidelity, ended up with people I knew that were close to me. And so forgiveness was, was very bitter. I was very, I kind of forgot. I read this in my notes this morning, but my son's best friend, they was really cute. We were really fortunate because this family lived next door to us, and they had children the same age as my first two. And so they were just inseparable. And
Uh-huh.
they had a nanny because they both worked. And she called me out one day, and because the kids were at my house all the time, or they were with her some. And uh, she's like, "Why are you so bitter? Why are you so angry?" And I was like, "Me? Like,
Wow.
I'm happy. Like, I'm a happy person." And she's like, and it really kind of threw me, and became very defensive, and it made me take a
Wow.
stock. And this is when I was going through this. I mean, it was just very painful what I was going through, and very confusing, and kind of right in the middle of all the ick. And
And I want to interject. Did it surprise you in a funny way? Like, I've loved you, God, my whole life. I mean, I am yours, you are mine. And I can't believe I'm going through this. Like, did you
I don't remember feeling like a
like a
victim,
disappointment?
or
Okay.
I don't remember that. I'm not saying it
Yeah.
didn't happen. I just don't remember that. I just remember feeling, just I had so much bitterness, and anger and jealousy, which was kind of
Did your mind
righteous.
just
My
go
mind
all the
it
time?
spiraled all the time. I had very little rest. I woke up every day thinking, "Oh my gosh, I've got to go through this another day." And finally, we separated, and and I realized that I could not live like this, because I had two small children, and I was consumed with anger and bitterness. And I can't do this. So I would go, my son was going to school at that point, and I think he was 5, and I had a 9-month old, and we would just go walk every day, and I would just look up to the clouds and look up to the sky and ask the Lord to help me, just help me.
Wow.
I didn't know what to do. I had really
Wow.
nobody to talk to. I didn't want to tell my mom everything that was going on. I just talked to the God. I just really didn't know who to talk to.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anybody super close to me in my life at that point who was absolutely surefire walking with God.
Wow.
And so I didn't know who to talk to other than just to talk to God himself.
Yeah.
And I just asked and asked and asked and asked. And I think I was so broken. And I think God, just like we were saying, met me where I was, and he saw a willingness in my heart
Yeah.
and a desire to want to forgive, because I knew that I was filled with the poison of bitterness.
Yeah.
I was just
Could you tell
filled
it
with
even
it.
the way you responded to people, or, the words coming out of your mouth, or the anxiousness
I'm sure, I don't
in what
remember.
you
It was
would do?
so
Because
long
I'll,
ago.
if I frustrate, or, you
Yeah.
just see, wow, you can see how you're reacting, or, maybe not responding, and it is pattern, and you think, oh, they're like little markers, or, but I think it's the way God wanted it for you.
I don't
Because don't you think
know.
this is who you are? It is, like you answered. It's God. Just
It was, and I kind of went inward.
Yeah, inward.
I just
Yeah.
really, I kind of shriveled up. And
You're still there, which I love.
well, I fought my way out of it. But I mean, God help me. But I kind of went inward, and I just was struggling to survive, to care for my kids
Daily.
and I'm talking about just a emotional survival, because I didn't know how to get through this. And you're scared because now I'm going to get a divorce, and how do you get a divorce? My parents had been married forever, and I didn't know anybody in my realm who had been through a divorce,
Wow.
thankfully. Um and I didn't know how to go through that.
I think there's so much shame that
Yes.
attaches. I mean, we've all been through divorce here,
Yeah.
and there is a lot of shame that attaches to that.
Yeah.
It's just a reminder too, when you were talking about not telling your parents. When I went through it too, I literally wrote my new address down and put it on my grandparents' table, and they're like, "What?"
Here's where you'll
That's
find me.
pretty much. I
Yeah.
just took care of
Wow.
business on
Yeah.
my own, and then
Yeah.
did that, which is not the right way to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
But there is a
Yeah.
lot of shame attached to that. And how do you get past that? I think it's the way we were raised too. We're raised to know a certain direction that we're supposed to go in,
Right.
and we follow what our parents do, like our kids follow what we've done. And it wasn't a good feeling to try to deliver that news.
The
No.
picture was changing in you.
Well, my parents were so supportive. Like, they were
Oh,
amazing. But they still didn't know everything.
Yeah.
But they were just very supportive of me and my kids. They were there for me 100% of the time. But you still don't. Like, I didn't know how I was going to survive. I mean, it just is.
did you go step by step, day to
so-
day?
Just day by day,
Like,
every day
I'll
was
talk
a
to the
new
kids.
day, and I just kept talking to God. And so God just, I think, I realized that I could not live like that. That
Yeah.
I needed to forgive,
Wow.
and I needed to forgive, several people.
You had to.
And I was having nightmares, like graphic, very
Yeah.
terrible nightmares, that I was doing harm to people. And that scared me
Yeah.
to death. And it's like, I cannot live like this at all. And so
She said, "Guide my steps, God." Like,
I just said, help me to forgive. And I was doing BSF at the time, and I don't remember what we were studying, but I was in the Word. I was with people in the Word, but I still was kind of quiet about my circumstances. I didn't talk about it very much. But I just started working on just talking to the Lord. I got up my Bible. I looked up divorce. How can you, because God is against divorce.
Yeah.
How can I get a divorce? And I read, if there's adultery, infidelity, and then forgiveness. And I just kept asking the Lord to take this from me. And I had to
Wow.
give it to him. And it was sometimes every second of every day that I was saying, I can't do this anymore. Just please help me.
Yeah.
And I would read, if you don't, we forgive because he first forgave us.
Yeah.
Well, we love because he first loved us, but we forgive because he's asked us to forgive, because he's forgiven us. He laid down his life to forgive us. He shed his blood so that we could live free, still sinful people, but righteous with God, because we know and love him.
Yeah.
When we come to that realization. And so the more I kind of dove into this, the more I just was on my knees in gratitude, because he forgave me. How can I not extend forgiveness? But it took a while to get
So
there.
spiritual too. And again, the people that watch this think, if you don't know the Lord yet, I just think that whole forgiveness thing is a new concept. And then this is so deep, because have you had those moments like she's sharing where you just feel, I've been forgiven?
Yeah.
That is so
Yes.
spiritual and powerful to me.
I have. A while back, I don't know if you remember, Elizabeth, we had lunch together a while back
Yeah.
and heard each other's stories, and there was so many common threads in them.
Yeah.
I questioned for the longest time if I forgave the person that played a part in my divorce story and all this. And I realized I had not that long ago. I think it's really easy to say you've forgiven and really kind of talk yourself into believing it.
Like, yeah,
Mhm.
But I
check.
really wasn't sure if I
Yeah.
had. And someone told me the other day, because of some of the things I did for this person just most recently. And she was like, I think you have. I think you're there, you know? And I was like,
Aw.
I'm not sure because it's not the
That
same
helps.
relationship, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want him to be well. And I want him because
Yeah.
he's the father
Yeah.
of my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want him to do well. I want him to be well. I don't wish anything bad happening to me, to him, or to me. But I think there was a time where I was like, "Oh, I hope you're
Or
miserable," you
generational,
know.
or because we believe
Absolutely.
in that.
Yeah,
Like,
we got
Yeah,
great
the
think the
generational
concepts
curses.
when we are so humble before God, because say He resists the proud, but He will give you grace in that humility. So I think just coming
Yes.
and saying exactly all of us, like those relational, and this was so deep and cut to you, like you said, around you. It wasn't happening to a lot of people around you. You were
No.
going through this. It was so new, with your family, with your children, your life. But I mean, that God gave you that revelation. Your eyes are getting teary eyed, and yours
Mhm.
are getting teary eyed. It's like when it means so much to us. The other day I was telling Joy, I said, "Oh, some of these things that are painful, I just want to pull the thorns out. Like, oh, okay, this is, so I'm going to pull that situation away." And I could see God show me the crown of thorns
Ugh.
being placed on Jesus' head. It was like He didn't get to pull those thorns out. And
No.
they were there for you.
Yeah.
And everything He did at the cross. And of course, coming up to this Easter time, I don't know when we're going to air all of this. But I think what you all are sharing, it's so spiritual. I want to encourage people,
Mm.
your life can get to this place, because we live in such a natural world.
Yeah.
But so, Elizabeth, then what started to happen then next?
Well, I think I went through stages of forgiveness, and it took several years to get to the first phase where I realized I'd forgiven one person. And I remember I was in Bible study when it happened in small group, and I had felt this just weight on me all the time. And that's bitterness, anger, unforgiveness. That's what it is. That's how it manifests
Yeah.
itself. And all of a sudden I was sitting in Bible study, and I literally felt like it was almost, when you get your hair cut and they put that weighted thing on you. Well, it was that times 100, just that weight. And all of a sudden I felt this weight lifted off my shoulders.
Take it off.
And I realized I'd forgiven him.
Oh, my
And
God.
it was just so wonderful and so freeing. I jumped up. But then it took me a little longer to forgive somebody else. And that was so freeing. And that wasn't as much of a conscience, like I have forgiven. It's that I didn't think about it anymore.
Wow.
And I
The
love
weight was
that. I
gone.
think that there's such a misconception about forgiveness that we don't talk about in churches. We've talked about it here, but a lot of churches don't talk about forgiveness. And it's so hard to forgive. I think the hardest person to forgive is
I
yourself.
think you need to do a Sunday on this, by the way.
But forgiveness, people think if I forgive, then we'll reconcile, or I'll forget, or other people will forget what that person's done to me. And forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves. It's a choice we make to dive into every day, to go along that path of forgiveness. It's a decision we
It's
make.
life or death, really,
It
Elizabeth,
really is life or
isn't
death.
it?
Truly it is.
really
Because if you
is.
hold bitterness and all these things in your heart, in your life, it's like poison, and it will do
Exactly.
physical damage to your body.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's, forgiveness is not forgetting. Although in time, when you have totally forgiven, you stop remembering.
Yeah.
If that makes
This
sense.
settles
It's like if
down.
somebody were to bring it up,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, well, I kind of remember that. Like, I don't remember all the nitty gritty details, but you just stop remembering. You stop thinking about it,
Yeah,
because
and
it's no longer
you're
consumes
more
your
It
heart
doesn't
and
consume
mind.
you.
It doesn't
peace.
consume. So what do we want to be consumed with? Do we want to be consumed with things that are negatively affecting our lives, like our sleep, our relationships, our overall health? Or do we want to be consumed with like peace and the freedom, like the
And we
freedom
have a
to,
choice. We have a choice.
choice.
And that's the truth. You choose
Yes.
life or death. I remember one of the first Bible studies I had ever gone to. The gal was talking about forgiving her mother, and that God sort of pulled her back from that relationship for a while. I was so brand new to God that I was like, because it just doesn't sound
Right.
that healthy and good. But I think sometimes God has to take us step by step.
Yeah.
Let me show you, in relationships or life, what we've got to go through. It's almost like you can feel him grab your hand and, let me walk you, child.
Yes.
But when you get that revelation of unforgiveness being life and death, and even life and death and the power of the tongue,
Yeah.
we've all walked long enough that you're like, check.
Yes.
What do you want to say?
I shouldn't have said
What
that.
do you want to say right about now? Even
All the
what
time.
she shared.
I think the big misconception for a lot of people, and I was one of them for a long time, is that forgiveness was equated to reconciliation. And
Yeah.
it's not. You don't have to have, you can forgive and not have reconciliation, or
Mhm.
maybe you just don't have a relationship with
At all.
this person anymore. And that's
Yeah,
okay.
that's okay.
No one had ever told me it's okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was all one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
So-
think that's right and wrong. So that was the thing with
Yes.
this gal and her mother. It was like a restoration, but I mean, it was so spiritual what was happening for her, and a negative and that
Mhm.
unforgiveness and our mind. I mean, you don't have to read too far into the Word of God. That battlefield of the mind, which you love,
Yes,
Joyce Meyer,
I
that
do.
battlefield of the mind. I said, if she didn't write the book, I wish I would have. But the battlefield of the mind is so real. So did
So
you feel
powerful.
your mind settling as well as your heart, as well as even the way that you responded? Like, could you could feel that lifting in
Mhm.
every area when you started to forgive?
I think so. And I had to start, I think it's got to start. Well, everything to me is like your heart is really your mind, right? You got to start with a mindset, like a determination, whether you're going to lose weight. Well, I'm going to eat this way. I'm going to exercise, but I'm going to make that decision because I'm going to make it in my mind, and then I'm going to have my body do that. So forgiveness to me was, I really want to forgive. I cannot live like this. So I'm going to start thinking because I had negative thoughts 24/7, consuming thoughts. I was like, okay. And I love that, take every thought captive. Well, what
Every
does that
thought.
mean? What does
Yeah,
that
what
mean?
does it mean?
What does that mean? Well, and it's a practice. So I would, if I thought of something negative or horrible, whatever it was, I would say, I can't think that. And I had to retrain my mind to think something positive. God loves me. God doesn't want me to live this way. And it wasn't something positive about the person per se, because maybe at that time I couldn't think of anything positive, although now I can, but I was too hurt. I was too broken at the time to think anything like that. I had to think about what God wanted for me. And so he would say, I love you, Elizabeth. It's going to be okay.
You could
You're going to get
hear
through
him-
this.
hear him.
Yeah. And, I love you. I love your children. Or you love your children. You can do this because you love your children. Whatever it was,
Yeah.
those thoughts. And so I had to retrain my mind.
Everything
Because I
almost.
really think that your mind is like your best and worst enemy, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's Satan. It enters our mind. It's all, we fight flesh and blood. We do, and we don't fight flesh and blood. We fight
And that spiritual
principalities. And it's
principalities.
all Satan was trying to war with my mind. He was trying to get a hold of my mind, and for a while he had it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, 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 no. And I think I got to this point where I literally would draw a line in the sand in my mind, and I would be on this side of it, and Jesus was there and Satan was on the other side. And I said, you cannot cross that line. You cannot cross that line, because I'm here and I'm with Jesus, and I'm going to choose to be with him. And it's not, there was no perfection in any of this. I still messed up all the time, but I kept trying. I kept going forward
Yeah.
until I realized that I had over time totally forgiven everybody involved. And
It's remarkable, isn't it?
well, it's God. I mean, I can't do that on my own. Who can? You
Right.
can't do it on your own.
Right.
And it's just, I think all we have to do is have a willing heart and give him some time to work in our lives, because it's not magic. It doesn't happen
Right.
overnight. It's, it just takes time. And so patience with yourself and a willingness to, spend time in his word, spend time with him personally,
And walk in
and walk in it.
like his way,
Yeah.
And I know this is so much on your heart. You taught 13 years or plus, right? On like, you taught a lot about forgiveness, a condition of our heart. And this was really neat because a couple of weeks ago, Malena was talking about praying for people when they come to the altar. And I think one of the sweetest things you said is almost like, I've been there, or I can identify with them. And so the way you would pray for them. I just think this beautiful message that you have, Elizabeth, to me, it doesn't come across, I mean, it's almost so sweet. Like, I know it'll take time. And I know you can get there, and you've got faith. But didn't you share something like that? How did you put it?
I think what
You
I
say,
said
I've
is
been there.
what we've been through, God uses us to pour into other people. That was part of it. I
Yeah.
don't remember exactly what I said now, but I think that's what he does. He brings people to us, and you've probably had that opportunity as well, where you've had people that kind of walk through the same thing, and you're able to speak into them. I think what you said just now also about patience. We want what we want so quickly, and when you're in pain, you want to get out of there
so fast,
so desperately, and it's never quick enough. Never.
No.
But just recognizing that God's working in us during that time of pain, and that it's not wasted, because God doesn't waste anything. Right?
I love listening to this gal named Mel Robbins, and she said she even had to develop because their life was just a mess, and it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and so the disciplines, even she said 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out of bed, I mean, but I mean, and then she has a great teaching on let people live their lives, and so I just think sometimes we go through this side of heaven, sometimes it feels like hell on earth.
Yes.
But if we open up our spiritual eyes and ears, it's then to turn around and just talk about the devil, that line, I'm going to help others. And I think you have spoken here at the church. I'd love for you to do, Sunday messages on this, but I believe what you've been through, Elizabeth, is so deep, and it's weird. People need to forgive themselves and God and others. So I'm almost different because you're so disciplined and really strong in the head. Like Pastor Joe, my thing is all right here. So I stay with this bleeding, broken, sad heart. And I'm like, heal it, make it go away. And, because I would, if I could, I'd want to straighten up here and just go, well, Nancy, like I'm married to Joe. He's like, what's that Cher movie? Snap out of it, I mean, he just wants me to snap out of it. I go, I wish I could, but this is still broken and this is still bleeding. But God made us how he made us. But then he brings a message that's so spiritual and goes, will you help me, Elizabeth, almost be my partner, to help guide people, to freedom.
I know. I think I've had a couple of workshops on this in my home, and then we did, the talk here and another workshop. But I'm sure y'all, when we've all been through difficult times, it's just like, what do we do in difficult times? Who do we turn to? Who do we stay in the muck and mire, or do we try to get help from the ultimate healer and helper? And I know in difficult times, and this was probably the most difficult time I'd been through at this point in my life. And, and since then I've gone through difficult times, but I wouldn't trade those times for anything, because he allows these things to happen. But it's when you come to know the Lord, if you would allow him to mold and shape you and be there for you in these difficult times, when you're out of it, you kind of want to go back. For me, because I'm dependent on him only. Like I could barely put a step in front of the other to get through the day without his help and
More
guidance.
of him, less of you.
Yes,
Like
because had been like in my mind, all of me. It was like, no, that's not right. I'm here.
To me, you sound like you found that place of staying soft clay in his hands, to like letting him mold and reshape you now. I can heal this and we can get through it. Let's close this segment in prayer, and then we're going to do another segment if that's good. I want you to go through every bit of your notes and Malena to jump in as well. But anyway, would you close this segment out in prayer for us? Thank you,
Absolutely.
Elizabeth. Thank you. Thank you,
Heavenly
Malena.
Father, we just thank you for being here with us. I just heard the air conditioning go off, and just this peace that is in this room, dear Lord, and the joy that you bring us through knowing you. Thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ, who you brought to this earth, dear Lord, to show us how to live a life of forgiveness and love and peace and joy and just loving others where they are. That's what Jesus did, dear Lord. He doesn't want us to stay in some spots, but you love them. You love us where we are. So I just pray that you would show people where they are, that you will meet them there, that you will heal them, just if they would allow you to be a part of their lives, dear Lord. So open up their hearts, open up their minds to accept and love you. Thank you for these wonderful ladies, for the friendships, and we just thank you for going before us, going beside us, and coming up behind us, dear Lord, to just push us and nudge us where we need to go. We love you and we thank you. Amen.
Thank you. I am confident when people say this, it is going to begin that process of healing from unforgiveness. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.